Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass.
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Like Mother, Like Murder.
Episode 132?
No, it would be 31, but actually it's just bonus episode. Try again.
Oh my gosh. Start over. Bonus.
There it is.
Remember when I used to do that?
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Although this isn't going to be like a happy bonus. This is going to be a Heather gets perpetually more and more increasingly pissed bonus. I feel that that's going to be the gist of this today.
You know what? I feel like that's totally fine because I feel like so is everyone, you know? And I know for a fact from people talking about it and coming to us is that they either agree and get just rightfully as angry as you do in these moments. So it's necessary.
Yeah.
That's all there is to say
Agreed.
about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So today is the part 2 of the horrific and heartbreaking double homicide of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, but it's not. So in the previous episode, it was my goal to give the listeners a sense of who Abby and Libby were, because too often we see victims of crimes in the shadows of their killer or killers. Abby and Libby were 13 and 14 years old. They were involved in so much, and they had so much life to look forward to when they were brutally taken that winter day, February 13th, 2017. So if you haven't listened to that episode that was released on Tuesday, please stop. Go back and listen to that before you continue here. It's so important to understand and get a picture of who those girls were, because right now in this episode, Heather, my dear, all of the listeners, my hope is for you to be pissed.
Yeah.
For you to get mad.
Yeah.
For you to picture them as I talk about what happened, you know, over the next many, many years of investigating and leading into the trial that just took place. So that's my feeling right there. Yeah, take that deep breath.
I'm going to try to be ready. I'm going to try to be ready for this, but I don't know if even however long we've been doing this, I don't know if you can ever be fully, like, prepared, you know?
Right. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. But I did want to say, and I know I will say this again on an actual, like, regular episode. We got a comment saying that we need to do better at shouting out our listeners.
Oh, shoot.
And saying
sorry,
who we are.
listeners.
I know. So for anyone who
God.
has felt that, and it's never our intent. That is not like, you know, we don't mean to not give you guys all of the credit, because as much as yeah, go ahead.
Like, we wouldn't be here without you guys. Yeah. Like, we appreciate that. I mean, okay, as much as we probably would still keep going even if we had no listeners, because, like, for Rachel and I, this is like we love it. We love our listeners, and oh my God, don't feel taken for granted. I'm so sorry that we made you feel that way.
Yeah. So Mary, we do apologize. It is never our intent, and we appreciate you guys so much. And Heather and I are going to keep at this.
Mary.
We've had it. Her name is Mary.
Okay. Really quick. Yeah. Ready?
Yes.
This is for you, Mary.
Okay.
Give me a M.
M.
Give me a A.
A.
Give me a R.
R.
Give me a Y.
Y.
What does that spell? Listener awesomeness. Listener awesomeness.
Yes. I love that.
Okay.
We need that in this episode.
If you want a personalized cheer by Heather, leave us a review. Leave us your name. Drop us a DM. Something. And you will get a personalized Heather cheer.
I love it. We get like 900 of them. We have to dedicate just an episode to doing that.
One episode with all cheers.
Yeah. And who we are. So my name is Rachel. I am one part of this amazing podcast that we bring to you guys weekly. And I'm the Kentucky half of this podcast.
And I am Heather. My voice sounds probably different today. I am struggling with a cold. I actually feel so much better today. Rachel, do you want to know why? I'll get to really quick.
I know why.
I'll tell you. You do know why, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. Bring it up, girl.
I started drinking bone broth.
Cult life.
I did it. If you guys are new here, Rachel has talked about her bone broth, like, I don't even know.
Just
lifestyle.
Life. Yeah.
And she has talked about the amazingness and how it really has helped her immune system. And it's also great because I felt like, we get rotisserie chicken all the time. So it's so nice to not feel like I was just like throwing away those bones. And so the day I started feeling really, really crappy, I got some bone broth because I wanted like something soupy. But when you buy like soup, it's like all the salt. And I didn't want to do that. So it was so nice to make something kind of more homemade and use the bone broth. And I am feeling so much better today. So
yes, you are.
I think you officially persuaded me. Yep, and converted
to bone brothism.
To your bone brothism cult. But anyway, I don't know if I finished. I'm Heather. I'm the California side of the podcast. Yes. And before we get into it, and I know like this is going to be rough today, so to start a little lighthearted before we get into it, Rachel.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that you are in Kentucky. It is snowing.
It is.
You are wearing the most
t-shirt in one of the lightest things ever.
Literally flimsiest sweaters. Like, might as well be.
It's not even a sweater.
Like,
I'm not even gonna lie. I have to cut you off.
It's a long sleeve tee. Like,
it's a long sleeve t-shirt that was actually cut in half. I didn't even buy it like this.
Exactly. It's a long sleeve tee. And it's snowing there.
Yeah.
I am in California. It is 68 degrees and I feel chilly. And I'm literally wearing like a Snuggie sweater.
Yeah, she is. She looks like a little Eskimo.
Because, man, and it's so crazy to me. Because you used to be a California girl. You would be right here with me.
But I would still be in shorts and a tank top. I would never be in that.
You would. I'm just feeling extra snuggy. Probably, too, because of, like, my illnesses. But
you look comfortable, and I feel like that's exactly how you need to be.
I agree. Especially, I gotta get comfort where I can, because I know, like, I'm about to get mad. So, we're going to work on it.
Yes. First, we're going to talk about some of the people that were looked into, starting with Ronald Logan. And, go off whenever you need to go off, say what you need to say, do what you need to do. This is, a lot of this is going to be us conversing. Let me say, too, you guys, there's a billion podcasts that you guys can go listen to if you are looking for straight facts, no other side conversations. I do bring a lot of details, a lot of information, so I'm not saying you should leave, because obviously we want you here and we love you, and that's what it is. But I'm just saying that the ones, those deep dives, they're worth it, and I've listened to every single one of them. That's why I can say go do that if you're looking for that as well. Okay, so starting with Ronald Logan. Ron was the property owner of the property that the girls' bodies were found up against, and many things did not add up when it came to him. His alibi, for instance. We'll start there. So he claimed that day, February 13th, that he was at an aquarium store at the time that the girls vanished. He did have a receipt from the aquarium store that showed that he checked out at 5:21 p.m. And this was about 30 minutes from his house. So remember, the girls were at the bridge. 2:07 is when the photo of Abby on the bridge was taken on Libby's phone.
Right.
So, I mean, 5:21, 30 minutes away, you could have absolutely done some heinous ass shit and then left and went somewhere to create an alibi. Okay? So, the investigators had a search warrant for Logan's home and property, not finding anything. But that alibi did not add up. His phone also pinged and showed that it was in the area, which, again, his house,
right,
his property is right there, but it showed that it was pinging like outside of his house. So however much land that he had, it was closer to where the girls were found compared to like where the actual home was in the area. Okay. And it pinged like at the time that the girls were missing. 2:00, that
So
time.
He says, I was at an aquarium at that time. He has a receipt for it, yet his phone pinged on his property at that time.
Yes. And remember, the receipt was 5:21 from the aquarium store. So, like,
also
to me,
not adding up.
Not adding up. Not adding up. So, in articles, I read that he even asked a cousin to lie about the time that he returned home from the aquarium store, trying to make it seem like he was gone from his home and property for more time than he actually was.
Keep going. How old is this guy?
He's older. You know what? That's one thing that I do not know.
He's older, though. He's not like a young kid.
50s, 60s.
Yeah, I mean, he owns this property. So, okay.
Yeah. In an interview with Ron, he was asked to say the words "down the hill." And this was pretty, close after the girls had first went missing.
So, early on in the investigation.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you. That is a much better way of saying what I was just saying. I swear, words are hard. So he did say it, and people said that his voice was inconsistent with the audio from Libby's video. Yet at the same time, they said that Ron Logan, like what he looks like, his body type, was consistent with the man on the video that Libby took. So it's like they were saying no to the voice, yes to the possibility of, that video or the picture of the man on the bridge from what was shown to the public could be so many people. But the voice itself, it's like, even like with the inflections, like of like down the hill, guys, down the hill. And it's like the word hill goes down. Like when he says it in this video, he's like down the hill, and it's like, yeah, but he could have done that on purpose. He could have done that on purpose. He could have, I mean, why would he try to say it exactly like that if he did it?
He would try to make it different. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But okay. So another thing that drives me crazy, and this just, it's frustrating that we're not going to go anywhere further with this one. But during that time that he was looked into, women came forward saying that Ron had actually been violent with them in the past, and that he had guns and knives on the property. I mean, many people do. There were things that definitely needed to be looked into. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of those accounts coming forward from these women.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he was never named a suspect. And Ron actually ended up dying from COVID-19, taking anything he may have known in the circumstances that he had something to do with the deaths or knew anything with him.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
See, here's what I don't like.
Yeah.
His statements are inconsistent. He asked someone to cover for him. So clearly, like, there was something he was trying to hide from the police. Or he was scared to be implicated. So he's making stuff up to try to also, like, cover his... I mean, maybe he was just sitting at home not doing anything. But he wants to make sure, like, well, I don't want them to falsely accuse me, so he makes some stuff up.
Well, even the first thing that you just said, like, about him however you said it the first way. But it's like, maybe he did see something. Maybe he wasn't the one who committed something, and he saw something. And that's when he was like, you know what I need to do? I need to get the F off my property and go to the aquarium store and get out of here. Right. So maybe he was maybe there was truth behind some of what he was saying, but he knew more than what he said he knew.
Which, was there any, and that was going to lead to my next question, was there any connection between him and Richard Allen? Like, did they know each other? Like, because then that's my thought is like, maybe he knew him and he was like, I'm not trying to get involved. Or maybe he saw something and was threatened. That's also a possibility too. Like, if you say something, I'm going to come and kill you. You know, like, I don't know. But it just seems like there was a lot of options for him not to have been misleading or inconsistent or straight up lying to the cops.
So I will say that one of the things that I've heard in so many coverings on the Delphi murders and this case, right, is how small of an area this was, how many people did know each other. Right. And so even if he didn't know Richard Allen, maybe he knew someone else.
Or he knew the girls.
Well, we're going to get into more shit, my friend. So the next person that I want to talk about is Keegan Anthony Klein. And this one gets my blood boiling.
Yeah, you mentioned him a bit in the first one.
Yeah. So Keegan, and all of these people that I'm talking about live in Indiana. So he was in Peru, Indiana, which is a little over 30 miles from Delphi, and is known, like, when it comes to this case, because he was the grown-ass dude behind the account of Anthony Shots, which was social media profile. Right. There was different ones. He was on TikTok. Snapchat, Instagram, different accounts. And so he was playing this younger male Instagram model type as he sat behind the keyboard being a complete douchebag. So the reason he had this account was to solicit nude images from girls. Prosecutors in Klein's case, not connected to the murders specifically, did say that he used this Instagram profile, including Anthony Shots, this profile, to communicate with underage girls, and Libby was one of those girls. So already right there, there's a connection, okay? Right. He was never named a suspect in the case and has always claimed his innocence when it comes to their murders. But in an interview, as he tried to say he never talked to Libby before, they're very clear with him that, yeah, you have.
Yeah, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah, they know. So he eventually agrees with them, says, yeah, you're right, that he talked to Libby. And he actually talked to Libby the night that she had the sleepover with Abby before they went out to Monon High Bridge. And then deleted, or he says that he either deleted or blocked her because she was annoying. His words, not mine. After the murders, okay, this drives me crazy. After the murders, Anthony Shots' account, there's, you know, they have all these records. People are dumb, especially if they think that they could, like, delete things and then they're not there anymore, you guys. You can't delete things.
It's always going to be there. Like, stop being stupid.
There's evidence that he was talking with one of Libby's friends after the murders, and that he said that he actually was supposed to meet Libby that day and that Libby didn't show up. But then he also says that it didn't matter because he would have never actually followed through with it and that it never happened. So it's just so much back and forth, conflicting.
Why would you even fucking say that? I don't get that. That's so gross. Yeah. First of all, you're gross. You deserve to be in jail for the rest of your freaking life.
Yes.
If not dead. Because, ew, and you're a horrible human being.
Yeah.
And statistics show that rehabilitation for you is very small. So,
well, he will be, so it's fine.
And also, like, why are you, like, it's disgusting because it's almost like he's, like, bragging about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I was supposed to meet. I don't give a, like, ew, get the hell out of here. Yeah. Also, Libby's friend who he was talking and telling this to, you should not be talking to guys on the internet that you don't know.
Yes. I'm glad that's where you were going with that, because I don't think that the friend was, I think the friend was saying, like, did you hear about that? And, like, maybe more of a, I don't want to say investigative style, but I don't think it, hopefully, I don't know, maybe you're right.
I'm sure it was the same thing. They probably were mutual. You know, she could see that he was friends with Libby on the thing, and so she was like, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened? And blah, blah, blah. And,
but you're right.
You know, don't be talking to guys on the internet that you don't know.
Yes. 100%. So when his phone was searched, he had an intensive amount of searches on the Delphi murders, okay?
Yeah.
And listen to this. I'm going to read this directly from an article that I read. During the interview, Klein also twice references a polygraph test that he was given in the Delphi murder investigation, and both times indicates police told him he failed the test. Investigators asked Klein, why would you, after you failed the polygraph about knowing about the Delphi investigation, come home, delete your Snapchat and your Instagram, which you used to communicate with Libby, and then you searched, how long does DNA last? Why would you do that? Klein's response is, I have no clue. I don't know. Probably because they DNA tested me.
What the fuck, dude? You're so shady.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy. But, and to play like, so this guy is clearly a psychopath. He also seems, based on the previous thing you told me, to almost be like inserting himself in, like psychopaths do. We also know that a lot of times the perpetrators will insert themselves in, right? So, but he does seem to be like, almost like doing that where like, ugh, this is making me so uncomfortable. He does seem to be like
make you uncomfortable.
Putting himself into it, even if he wasn't actually involved, because he's a narcissistic asshole.
Yep. He is. So just before that interview ends, the detective reminds Klein that when he was asked if he knew who killed Libby and Abby, the quote says, you did say no both times in your polygraph, and guess what? That was deception. So, again, Klein says that he has had nothing to do with the murders and he's never been arrested or charged on anything having to do with their deaths, okay? But Keegan Anthony Klein did get arrested and then sentenced to 43 years in prison for charges including child pornography and child exploitation. He remains behind bars today.
He better frickin' stay there too. Truth and sentencing on that shit.
Yeah, he's gonna stay there. Have you seen him? Look him up.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I already have nightmares.
Look him up. He's what nightmares are made of.
Seriously.
All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a theory rather than a person. Odinism. So I'd like to add here that I'm not an Odinism expert. I tried to read and learn as much as I could in connection to the murders.
I'm actually really glad you're not.
Yeah.
Because I might be a little worried.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to talk about it in kind of both ways, because it's like, I say Odinism and instantly you're like, I hope you're not. Where there's a lot of people who practice certain things that are not negative and dirty and gross awful. And and I'll get to that. So, I did read and try to learn as much that I could in connection to this.
And your FBI agent was going, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah, they were like, look at her search bar. Well, I just don't ever want to like go into something not
aware,
being knowledgeable, 100%. You know,
this is responsible research, and I'm glad you did it. But
yeah. But even with that, I still feel the need to express that I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that I understand any of it. So, yeah, there's people who believe or don't. You know, there's people who see things in a bad way or a good way. So from one perspective, Odinism is an ancient religion based on the spiritual beliefs and practices of the ancient Norse people who lived in what is now Scandinavia and other parts of Northern Europe. It is a polytheistic religion, meaning it worships multiple gods and goddesses. Okay. Odinism is also known as a satru, or the heathen religion, which means faith in the gods in Old Norse, if you're following any of that. It is named after their god Odin, the chief god in Norse mythology, who was viewed as the all-father and ruler of the gods. Okay. Now, from another perspective, Odinism is a white supremacist cult focused on the worship of the Norse god Odin. The belief system may also sometimes be referred to as a satru, like I said, and is centered around the white supremacist beliefs combined with magical elements of neo-paganism. All of these things. And so the first thing I'm reading, that's where I'm saying that maybe it's not all bad, whatever.
Right.
But what it's being referred to when it comes to the Delphi murders is that this is a hijacked Odinism. Right. It's been hijacked by white nationalists.
Right.
Okay.
Totally.
So
totally. Yeah. Which, I mean, there's a lot of religions that happens to, right? Extremists will like take something and twist it and conform it to try to justify their ridiculous beliefs.
Yeah. And the way that I tried to understand, and I hope the hijacked ones don't come for me, because this sounds crazy and this is just who I am as a person. The god Odin is Thor's dad from the Marvel movies.
Right.
Thor, Odinism, is the god of thunder, and his character is based off of the Norse mythological god of thunder, and he's Odin's son. Okay.
Thank you for adding that in.
I had to. Okay, back to Odin himself. Did. So this god is the Norse god of life and death, known for so many things: wisdom, healing, knowledge, sorcery. And so with the belief of Odinism, this is who you're looking up to or who you're following in this belief system. I'm getting somewhere, I promise. So a criminologist and civil rights attorney, Dr. Brian Levin, says he has studied in this realm for years and says in the early 2000s in Indiana, a racist skinhead group called the Vinlanders Social Club, who identified as Odinists, formed in Indiana. That grew to be one of the largest and most hardcore racist skinhead groups in the country. But by the mid-2010s, membership had largely filtered out. And then now they're mainly found in the state prisons. Doesn't mean that there's not some still out there.
Right.
Okay. Odinism, this is a quote from him. Odinism is fairly common among white supremacist prison gang members in Indiana. You've got two large gangs, the Indiana Aryan Brotherhood and the Saxon Knights in the prison system. Okay?
Yep.
All right. It's so much. But I'm trying to bring the connection to Indiana. Okay?
Yeah.
So, the connection here is that when Libby and Abby's bodies were recovered, the way that they were found, in the words from the articles, is that the girls were staged, and the people who believe or think or stretch is tied into Odinism, and that they were staged after an Odinistic ritualistic sacrifice. This is based off of the way that the girls' body were on the ground, the position of their arms and legs, and then tree branches and other branches, twigs being placed on top and near their bodies.
Right.
The defense team believes that the crime scene shows clear signs of ritual murder based off of all of this.
Okay.
The prosecution stance is that in order to present evidence in relation to a third-party trial, the defense must show a direct material connection between the third party and the crime.
Okay.
The connection must be based on more than hearsay, speculation, rumor, conjecture, or theory. It must be based on reliable evidence that draws a material connection between the party and the crime.
Right. Okay? Right. So what I'm gathering is this was a theory posed by the defense because as you guys know, a lot of times in a defense, they will bring up, here's another theory of what could have happened. Here's another suspect. Here's another whatever, in order to create that reasonable doubt. But in order to actually be able to present that in court, like legally, substantially, you need to have more than just like, oh, well, this could have happened. There needed to have been something more that would have linked. Like if they were able to have found a known Odinism dude that was down the block, and they knew that guy was there.
Oh.
Did that happen?
Him. We know him.
See?
Yeah. So, like, and I shouldn't have said it that way, because Odinism was talked about in the trial, but, like, not, so, but.
But they couldn't use it happen? As, like, a, oh my God, Rachel. Okay, keep going. Because now I'm intrigued, because then that seems to me like there's a material connection.
So the prosecution, although this is said, their stance and their position on this not being something to need to even discuss or look further into is because why look into this far-fetched theory when we have Richard Allen sitting right in front of us, who we know now was just found guilty of committing the murders, right?
Right. I mean, that's the prosecution's job, right? Is to say, no. Like, no. Like,
and it's the defense's job to say, yes, here we are.
Right.
So, well, these were not things that were talked about in the trial to the jurors, but we're going to get into this right here, right now.
Okay.
So there's other names that come up when looking into these murders, and some of them are Brad Holder, Pat Westfall, Johnny Messer, and there's more. I'm going to start by reading something I found off Reddit, because that's just where I want to start. Brad Holder posted this on Facebook the day of the murders. Okay. Here's my words of inspiration for today. Today is Tires Day, which is Tuesday for Odinists. I also drew the ruin Taiwas in Galaxy Ruins. All this past weekend and the beginning of this week, I've been drawing runes that have to do with giving up the baggage in my life or cutting away the old. What I believe the gods are trying to tell me is sometimes in our lives, we have to make sacrifices, and it hurts. But like the gods made sacrifices to become who they were, so must we. Like a butterfly has to shed his cocoon to become that butterfly, so must we soldier through our hardships to become better. Okay. So, I found photos that apparently Brad Holder posted on his Facebook, on his social medias, images that mimicked what was found at the crime scenes. The crime scene imagery has never been made public. When this came out, it had never been made public to this day. So now it has.
Right.
I should say now it has. Some of it has came out in like drawings and stuff. Like there's still not like crime scene photos out there, but you can like see recreations from like conversations and stuff. So how did he know this? Right? And seeing it now, or hearing about how they were found and stuff like that, how would he know this without that? Okay. Which I'm going to actually share this photo with you, because I want you to see it and just see how, and I know there's creepy people out there and crazy people out there and people who are into a lot of weird shit, and that doesn't automatically make them a murderer, but when it's that bizarre, like, I don't know how, but I'll share that in just a second.
Okay.
Because here's another thing. Brad's son, Logan, was dating Abby right before the murders. Yeah. He ended up being cleared a month after the murders, but I, for the life of me, couldn't find why. So,
what the fuck? That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely insane?
That's like, you know how we say there's no coincidences? That's a lot.
Yeah. You want to know what's even crazier?
No. Yes.
Holder's wife testified that he met with Abby Williams multiple times and that there were pictures on his phone of the girls with sticks arranged in Norse formations.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I know. I'm literally confused. My jaw is on the ground because how is this not more and how and why and all of that? Like, what let him off the hook? What alibi or what was it that he wasn't named a suspect, or like, why are we not talking about him more right now with these details that I found?
That's crazy.
So I encourage everyone to go look into him and tell me, what am I missing? Because I could not find why he was cleared. Yeah. And there's other people. So here's the, I guess I'll say even more than just his social media, even more than just his Facebook or whatever, showing that he is a part of this Odinistic cult, I'll say. He had other people that were a part of this as well, with him. And so it's just, from posting pictures that resemble the crime scene to the wife testifying that he had pictures of branches and stuff like that on top of girls, and then also to having the connection with Abby from
his son.
The son, and his name is Logan, which is weird to me, because Ron Logan, I know that has nothing to do with it, but it was just weird. Like when I was putting this all together, the son's name was Logan, and that's who she was dating before. Yeah. So it's just, all of it is.
That's pretty
just
crazy.
Bizarro.
So here are my thoughts. This is hard because you explain that this whole idea of Odinism is like, I don't know if common is the right word to use, but it's like there in Indiana. So, and you talked about how this guy is, he knows other people who, practice this, I guess. And so the idea, so that's what's hard, is because if he's not directly involved, I think that he would definitely still need to be questioned.
I thought you were going to say given a psych eval.
I mean, this guy, yeah, a little bit that he's, what is his Snapchat? Like, that is disgusting. Ugh. Yeah. Because if he wasn't personally involved, the odds are that he knows something. You know what I mean? Like, this is an insular group, I feel like, and so he would know something.
And I think that's one of the things is that, which we're about to talk about Richard Allen, but a lot of people don't believe that this could have been carried out by one person, right? And so Richard Allen, when there's that theory and when they talk about him, it was him on his own. He did this. And when we're talking about this, it could have been a group as they did this ritualistic sacrifice, if that's what it was. And so that would put other people there. And there were other names as when looking into it from this perspective. There was actually police officers who had different symbols as well that were put off of the case because of having ties in one way or another.
Sounds right.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I guess I'll say it again. I don't understand how he was cleared, and it pisses me off that I can't find it. Yeah. So someone find that.
When you
let me know.
That there were police officers
I know.
on the case, and I know how he was cleared.
They were in the same group.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to lead us into the arrest, the trials, and the guilty verdict of Richard Allen. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury found Richard Allen guilty on all counts. 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of malice murder. guilty on all 4 counts. You know those two?
I don't know malice murder.
I had to learn a little bit about it. So, like, the felony murder, so the malice murder is the intent. That gotcha. Is the, like, there was a reason. He knew what he was going there for. And maybe the felony murder is, like, it happened that way, but, like, maybe he was going there, whether it was to sexually assault these girls and then that happened type thing. But that's where that comes in. Richard Allen was first arrested October 28th, 2022, in connection with the double homicide. His arrest was based off of the video evidence found on Liberty German's phone, as well as an unspent bullet found at the crime scene. He was arrested, taken in, held without bond, and immediately moved to a different facility for his safety.
Yeah.
This court trial, highly publicized, super out there, everyone knows about it, was an over 7-year-old investigation, which led into 3 weeks of testimony, 18 hours of deliberation, and then over the 4 days, okay? This was a closed courtroom, or I should say not televised, like it wasn't.
Like it
we
wasn't
weren't watching
TV.
it like you could the Johnny Depp case. I don't know why that's the first one I just thought of. But
I mean, that was probably one of the most, like, viewed and televised cases in the history of...
Like the O.J. Simpson one. No, it's and for good reason. For a good reason. So, from the defense's side, the jury thought that members of Odinism are responsible for the murder of Abby and Libby. This was backed up and pushed in the way that the girls were found. I know that we just talked about it, but trigger warning. They were found with their throats slit. They were found lying in the woods next to each other. And from the defense's perspective, they were staged and then covered by sticks, branches, logs in a way that was said to point even more to Odinism, as they were pagan symbols over their bodies. They also talk about that it would have taken more than one person to follow through with these attacks. From the prosecution side, Richard Allen confessed. He admitted it over and over again. April 3rd, 2023, he tells his wife that he killed Abby and Libby. And let me say, I know, false confessions they're a real thing. They happen for numerous reasons. During intense interrogations, during horrible living conditions, when you're mentally unstable, medication in the prison. He didn't confess just once, though. He confessed many times and many different dates. It wasn't like all around the same area either. To his wife, to his mother, to a therapist. And like a side note, he bragged about the murders and that he was the one who did it even before he got arrested. And that's how he was tipped off to authorities in the first place. Yeah. So, yeah. Richard Allen
That's what I don't get. If he confessed multiple times, like, why did he even plead not guilty?
Right. And I think that just goes back to him trying to plead insanity. And I mean, and there's so many things, like when I mentioned it earlier, how he was instantly moved into solitary, right? And it's like, so many people are like, how that goes against everything, and how could you guys have done that right then and there? And they can say it's for his safety, because guess what? If he's in there for murdering 2 people and 2 young girls in the community, every single person in that place is gonna like, he was gonna die. So they moved him for that reason. But being on his own, obviously, that can drive anyone crazy, and that's, I think, what they're saying he leaned into. Didn't mean to cut you off and yell at you.
No, I get it.
So Richard Allen was on the bridge that day. He also confessed to that. He said he was absolutely there that day and at that time. So not only has he confessed, he's also put himself at the scene. Also, putting yourself at the scene doesn't make him guilty.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. Richard Allen's clothing that he was wearing that day is said to be the same that the bridge man was wearing in Libby's video. And they have like pictures from his social media, like showing him in the same outfits and like the same kind of clothing that you can see on this guy.
Yeah.
So a vehicle resembling Richard Allen's 2016 Ford Focus was observed near the trail around 1:30, which he's already said he's been there, so obviously his car was there.
Yeah, more corroborating evidence there.
Yeah, I'm like, unless he walked, but the point is that he said he was there, his car is there, all of it fits up, you know, and now I'm wondering, how is this just now hitting me? But I've seen nothing on, like, his car being checked.
Yeah.
That's weird. Now I need to look into that. Part 3 coming someday. His voice. They were able to hear his voice from the video on Libby's phone and connect it to, well, I guess reword that, is they compared his voice to the video on Libby's phone with different interview footage and him in person.
Yeah.
And then the thing that led to Richard Allen and the number one smoking bullet, minus this bullet was not smoking, is that the bullet found at the scene in between the girls' body was tied to Richard Allen's gun. That bullet had been cycled through Richard Allen's Sig Sauer Model P226. No idea if I said the name of that gun right, because I know nothing about guns. Not only putting him at the bridge, but putting him directly at the murder scene where the girls were. Which we'll get into the gun more. 3 weeks of testimony, 18 hours of deliberation over 4 days. The jurors asking to see the 43-second video from Libby's phone and the interrogation video from the October arrest. All of this and so much more, obviously, because this is only, this is an hour podcast episode. You guys can go look for more other places. But all of this stuff, they come back with guilty verdicts on all 4 counts, okay? Within moments of the courthouse doors opening, those outside were cheering for justice for Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Cheering that after all these years, they finally have answers they were looking for from a conviction. The families of the victims came out hugging and full of emotion. We have families that get to finally grieve and mourn the loss after a long, hard fight. They get to start the healing process that has been on hold for years. And with that, we also have another family. And I know that we're talking, it makes me sad in a way because, as I'll get to in a moment, I'm very stuck in my thought process.
Yeah.
But, on one side of the spectrum, I want to be so thrilled and happy, and I am for Abby and Libby and their family. But for Richard Allen's family, I hurt for them because, first off, his wife has made it so vocally clear that he did not do this and this wasn't his character and he would never. So I hurt for her and anyone who, loves Richard Allen and to have witnessed and had to go through this horrific time. And if he is a monster, if he is guilty in this, if he did this, because how many times do we see people who live this lie and their people literally have no idea that it's happening in their same home?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, no matter what it is, I hope that they get the healing and the peace that they need from this, because no matter what, it's fucked for all of them.
Right.
The next court date for all of this is December 20th, and that's for the sentencing. There has been a gag order put up for all included through the trial, so once that's lifted, I'm eager as hell to see and hear what else comes out, okay?
Yeah, part 3 definitely coming.
Yeah, part 3 will be coming. But with that said, so there's already talk of a mistrial, of the fact that this isn't over. There's going to be more to come. I don't know the validity or, what the time frame might be and stuff. And that also breaks my heart for this family because they've already gone through hell.
For
and
years.
dragging them through this again, it just makes me ill to even think of.
Right.
Even think of. But so the things that came up in court. Okay, so talking about the trial a little bit. There's so many things that how can you... We talk about reasonable doubt all the time. We go back and forth on different cases where we're like, I don't know, there's times that I'm just like, you look guilty, so you're guilty. And I know you can't do that. You know what I mean? But it's like, so this gun, this bullet, going back to the bullet, he has a gun. Yeah. There's this bullet. You buy bullets, right? And they're saying that it was cycled through and they can see this pattern. The guy who got up there and testified for this and was this expert witness person, testifier, or whatever he is, literally never touched the bullet, never had the gun in the bullet and was able to analyze it himself. He literally looked at pictures and said, yeah, that was it. So the defense, Richard Allen's defense team is like, no, you do not get to tell us that you can say that was his.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't the defense have hired their own expert witness? I mean, they had to have known. So and we could literally do so many episodes on like the weirdness that happens in these trials. But like, we know that any evidence that the prosecution had to have been shared with the defense. This includes bullet evidence. The defense would have known that the prosecution was calling an expert witness and that they were going to testify as to the bullet. So why wouldn't the defense have... Maybe they thought when they got up there on cross that they were just like, but did you ever touch it? And he's like, no. Maybe they thought that was enough to completely refute his whole testimony.
Yeah.
And maybe in the eyes of the jury, it was. And maybe they're basing their decision on things other than the bullet. Who knows? But like, that is weird.
So with what okay, so we go into this court case, you're a juror. You are told that he's confessed. You are shown videos. In this trial, the jury was shown videos that are absolutely horrifying to watch of Richard Allen, from things that he did in the jailhouse, from hurting himself to... I don't even want to get into all of it, you know? And it's they see these things. So now not only and that was from the defense's team trying to show that he was
mentally...
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so to make him look victim to everything.
Sure.
And that makes me sad for the actual victims. And if he is innocent, he's a victim in all of this as well. Yeah. Not to that extent, but so that was shown. But so we have the bullet, we have the confession, we have that he was there. There is not a single ounce of DNA evidence whatsoever, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy at a scene like this where there was a lot of blood. There was a lot of things.
Clearly the person was there for a long time.
Yes, moved and placed and those kind of things.
Yeah.
It makes me think back to the car, like if the car was checked, because it's like, if that did happen, like, and
there
then he
would
goes
have been
and gets in his car.
from the girls into the car 100%.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's crazy to me. But so knowing all of these things, to me, how did they convict him? Based on his confession? Are you like, what are your thoughts and your feelings right now?
So he tried to plead not guilty by reason of insanity? Like that was his plea, just not guilty? No.
Just not guilty. They said he was absolutely sane. He was absolutely present. He was able to talk and be just fine. And the jurors got to see him act that way. And that's another thing that was against Richard Allen, is that he looked crazy in the cell. And then he's fine just out there and talking and fine and all of those kind of things. Yeah. And so, let me start by saying, I know I just asked you a question, but I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to start talking. I shared every single article that was ever freaking posted when he got convicted. Because guess what? Me and feeling in my heart that I'm so happy for these two girls is what my heart was exploding with joy. And that's where that came from, is like, finally, you know? But it's like, as we talk about this, and then if I'm trying to put on my look from every single perspective, it's like, if I was in that courtroom, I don't know every single thing that was shown because we're not given that yet. So we're having this conversation, but how do I even clearly say one way or the other?
I have a big problem with confessions in general, just because I know people don't think it's like it happens that often, but I mean, it does happen. And if someone is not stable, and I don't know what his history was like before, the odds of that person falsely confessing to something is stronger if they're not stable, obviously. And then if they're not stable, the odds of them perpetuating that thought, so the fact that he did it to more than one person, you know, if you're not stable, perpetuating that is a lot easier, because like a stable person would be like, why did I do that? Ew, I'm not going to do that again. I could get in really big trouble. But if you're not stable, then maybe you don't like put that together. There is no forensic evidence other than the gun, which seems to me like they could have done a better job of connecting the two. It just seems like there's a lot more, and I know they're basing so much of this off of the videos. Yeah. Which, and I'm glad the videos exist.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, is there was 43 seconds of these videos, right? And we only see a very small clip and a very small clip of the audio. Right. And so what else was shown in those 43 seconds? Because that is more of what the jurors, when they, you know, before they went in, they asked for the 43-second clip. They wanted to see that again. They wanted to see the interrogation from October 28th, because that is when he got upset and he used that voice. And I think that they were trying to piece it together in that. Sure. Putting those together. So
here's what I'll say. Based on the things that you've told me today, I do not think I would have been able to convict him. Yeah. With that being said, like you said, we don't know. There's a lot more evidence that was presented to the jury that we do not know about. Right. And maybe that evidence is what would, you know, like in this jury's case, say, no, I'm now beyond a reasonable doubt. Because based on everything you've told me today, there's plenty of reasonable doubt. Right. But at the end of the day, it's so hard to fucking say that, because, like you said, they deserve closure. Right.
Like, but they deserve closure on true justice. Exactly, they deserve 100%. Closure on the right person. And I'm not saying he's not, because I can't say yes or no. We don't know. And I know we're talking about that. Sometimes I feel guilty for having conversations when I'm like, where do I stand? I know. But we're talking, and I'm making it very clear that we are, you know, going to do part 3. So another thing that I was going to say, though, is phone evidence. So, like, one of the things I was listening to, because I listened to so many things, and I tried to go, like, outside of the box of, like, I didn't try to listen to any sort of, like, mainstream things or whatever. I tried to find, I don't even want to say people who are experts, but, like, different angles on looking at things. And so one of the perspectives that I was getting was all based on the fact that this person who committed this brutal, horrific, heinous, awful attack on these 2 girls that was sexually motivated, that were, like, tortured in ways, then treated in these different ways, right? Yeah. Has to have some sort of something going on. Okay? Oh, for sure. And so this person had said that there would be clear evidence, whether it's on the computers, on the phones, from background history, from certain things, that would show that this wouldn't be like the first time that I don't want to say first time they commit murder or do crimes, but there has to be something else.
Who has had a history of disturbing behavior. Like, this is someone who you would have said they tortured animals when they were a kid. They were violent in their past with ex-girlfriends. There's blah, 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 blah. Like, yes, I totally see that, because the level of this horrendous act is, to me, and I agree with you, and of course you don't know for sure, but like the level of this horrendous act does not seem like a first timer, right? Yeah. This is someone who either that or they're straight up batshit psychotic.
Yeah.
I mean, which is another possibility. But no, I totally agree with what you're saying. There would be a history of this type of behavior. And torture to animals, violence with exes, all of that stuff.
That angle, that direction that she was coming with, and looking into Richard Allen. So he didn't have any of that. He had none of that. And phones were confiscated, electronics were confiscated from the day, like from further. Yeah. And it's like, he has nothing like that would show any sort of like want, desire, need to do something like that his phone or anything like that. Yeah.
So here's the other thing, though. I always come back to this because it is like a staple. They talk about like the triangle, which is like setting fires, bedwetting, and torturing animals. And then almost always there is a history of traumatic brain injury. And you've seen that a lot of violence is triggered with traumatic brain injury. So I'm wondering if like there was a recent history of traumatic brain injury, because he seemed so stable. This happens. He is obviously going through it in jail, as would anybody when you get put in solitary. I get that. But like there's room there for a psychotic break. Yeah. And so maybe that is also, because I've said it before, I'll say it again, the biggest indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So if you're seeing like a psychotic break, him going crazy in jail, you said the interview where he got really mad and started yelling.
Yeah. Yeah, but wouldn't you, so even with what you're saying right now, I could fight that. So if that happened before, he has this happen to him and then he flip switches, right?
Yeah.
Flip switches. Okay.
I know what you mean.
And he
sounds right to me.
Thank you. Missy Elliott taught me that one. Just kidding. But he murders these girls. It's not like, and then you get better for the next 5 years. Right. He was out for 5 years. So where's the evidence from in those 5 years of him having this situation? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there would still be something that you could find.
I really wish, I not that I disagree with this, because I completely understand the importance of it, but you said he confessed to a therapist, and you're not allowed to do this, client, like patient therapist privilege and everything, but I wonder if there is evidence and we just don't know about it because it's being protected by client, by patient therapist protections.
Yeah. I don't know. But like with all of this said, and like talking about going back to that person I was listening to talk about needing more in this direction, just points straight at Keegan Anthony Klein. Oh, yeah. Like it just goes straight to him. And it's like he was supposed to meet her there. He says he was supposed to meet her there. He has communication with her. He's the one who has all the pictures, images, those kind of things. So like, that's crazy. Yeah. I don't know, you guys. This just
let us know your thoughts, people, because clearly please. Rachel and I are at an impasse, and we are struggling to put two and two together. And it's a total. It's like ripping. It's like such a pull where you're like, I don't know, but at the same time, you're like, I want to know so badly, solely for closure for their families, solely for, but like you said, that closure should be real. Like that should be right.
Exactly.
And so I am at an impasse, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts as to, if there's theories that we didn't bring up, if there's things that you agree or disagree with and why, like hit us up, because this is one of those ones like Darlie, I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you. No, it's
Rachel,
it's so crazy. And this isn't even everything, Heather. Like, there's even more there's even more thoughts and people that were looked into and stuff that it's just.
And we're going to have even more come,
December 20th.
Sentencing and if there is a mistrial, and even if there isn't a mistrial, I have a feeling there will be an appeal. For sure. I don't even have a feeling I would bet money on that. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some additional episodes related to this follow up.
That is for sure.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for bringing it. My mind is like racing. So we're probably gonna stop recording, and I'm gonna call you in 5 minutes like, oh my gosh, did you think of this? And I'm gonna be doing that for the next 2 weeks, just so you know.
And that's exactly what it does, like with these. And that's and I hope that you guys, if you've listened this far, or you guys choose to listen to part 2, is like, that is why we separate these as well. Like, I know that we say it a lot in part 1 that we separate it for them because it's about them and we need to talk about them. But it's like over here when we spit a lot of opinions. We spit a lot of different, like, just go back and forth. Me and Heather can argue back and forth about different things. She's knowledgeable in one area. I'm not knowledgeable at all. So it's like, it works perfectly. And this is like, that's where we do that. So if you're not here for it, that's fine. But that's why these episodes are easy for us to just kind of,
this
bring
is why we
all of this and then like tear it apart, you know?
Exactly.
And so yep. And it sounds like we're definitely gonna have to talk about it more coming soon. Let us know if you want to hear about that, and if there's something that send me every article you can find that I can keep going at it, because I've been going at it for a while. All right, with that said, you guys.
Remember, guys, this is the last time we're blessing your earbuds for a nice little breakity break. I mean, you will still probably hear from, there will be some episodes from our podcast friends. We'll be probably putting out snippets here and there, especially on social media. Make sure you're looking at social media. But we are going to take the next 2 weeks. We are going to be going hard in some behind the scenes stuff. And so we will be back with brand new episodes in December.
December 10th.
You'll have to wait for them. But for now, still stay tuned. Make sure, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button, because we will be, still giving you stuff to listen to over the next couple weeks. And definitely follow us on social media, because you'll see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we're working on, okay?
Yep. On Instagram, _mother_like_murder. Same on TikTok. We have a Facebook that I neglect on a daily basis.
Well, remember when I told you, don't worry, Rachel, I'll do the Facebook, and then I never did.
Yeah, I didn't believe you. I already knew that. You didn't even like Facebook before you wanted to try Facebook. What do you mean?
You're so right. I don't know why I thought I could take that challenge on.
No, it's fine. You just keep bringing our episodes, okay? I got the socials covered.
Okay.
Another thing, though, you guys can find us on the morning show with Kevin and David on YouTube every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. They do a talk show over there, and we do a missing person segment. Enjoy our friends over the next couple weeks. We'll be back December 10th, I think. Is that Tuesday? Right. Season 3, baby.
Woo,
finally.
Season 3. We're a little behind.
Only
on our
a little.
Season 3 start, but it's not like we stopped. We just elongated season 2. That's what it was.
100 episodes in season 2. All right, we will talk to you guys in December. Until then, K love you. Bye.
K love you. Bye.